Something strange just dropped. ESPN released their full 53-man roster projection for the Atlanta Falcons. And let me tell you, some of these picks left me absolutely stunned. There's one name in particular that made me stop and say, wait, really? We're going to talk about it all right now because training camp is here, the helmets are popping, and storylines are already being written before a single snap of real football. But even with all the hype in the air, let me be honest with you, this one caught me off guard. The name? D'Angelo Malone. Now look, this guy was a third-round pick back in 2022. Expectations were real. We were hoping he'd grow into a legit pass rusher, maybe even a sneaky breakout guy. But since then, it's been mostly quiet. No standout plays. No game-changing moments. Just there. He's barely been part of the defense. Honestly, it feels like he's just been surviving every cutdown day, hanging on by a thread each year. And now, despite a wave of new blood at linebacker, ESPN has him making the roster again. The Falcons just drafted James Pierce and Jalen Walker, two athletic freaks who bring youth, energy, and pressure potential. They also signed Leonard Floyd, a proven veteran edge rusher who's expected to lead this unit. And let's not forget, Braylon Trice is returning from injury too. That's 4 new guys in the outside linebacker room. And yet somehow, D'Angelo Malone survives? I'm not saying he doesn't have value. Maybe he's a hidden gem on special teams. And if that's the case, I actually support it. Because here's the truth, when you're building your final roster, that 53rd spot matters more for impact than upside. Give me a guy who's flying down the field on kickoffs and punts, not someone who might be a good wide receiver if 3 injuries happen. So maybe that's Malone's role now. Maybe he's that guy, the special teams warrior you don't notice until he's gone. But still, with all this fresh talent coming in, I didn't expect to see his name survive this deep into the summer. And that's just one of the surprises on ESPN's list. Falcons fans, what do you think? Did Malone earn that spot, or is it time to move on? Rate your confidence in the Falcons linebacker room from 1 to 10 in the comments below. And don't forget, more surprises from this roster are coming up next. Now that was the first shock, D'Angelo Malone somehow making the roster. But here's the second one. And honestly, this one feels even more puzzling. Not a single undrafted free agent made the 53-man roster. Not one. No Nick Nash, the wide receiver who lit up college football last year at San Jose State. The guy was a highlight machine, big plays, great hands, and blazing speed. He wasn't just a solid player, he was one of the top receivers in the nation statistically. And yet nothing. Not even a final roster spot? Then there's Kobe Bryant, the physical corner from Kansas. Not to be confused with the Seahawks' version, this Kobe was a Big 12 standout, earning multiple all-conference honors. Smart, tough, aggressive, the kind of player who screams roster sleeper. And still, both guys were left off. Now look, I'm not saying it was guaranteed they'd make it. We know how hard it is to crack a final roster as a UDFA. But for both of these guys to miss out, that surprised me. Especially when you think about the upside they bring and the fact that the Falcons have plenty of spots where they could use some depth. So now the question is, do you risk losing them? Because once you cut a guy, he goes on waivers. And teams across the NFL are always watching. If a team loses a wide receiver in preseason, if a corner goes down with a hamstring, boom, they're going to be scanning those cuts, and Nick Nash or Kobe Bryant could be snatched up fast. If that happens, the Falcons can't just bring them back to the practice squad. They're gone. And that's the gamble you make when you don't protect your high upside UDFAs. Personally, I think it's risky. Both Nash and Bryant have talent that could absolutely show up somewhere else. You don't want to be the team that had something special and let it walk away for nothing. Falcons fans, which undrafted rookie do you think deserved a shot? Was it Nick Nash, Kobe Bryant, or someone else entirely? Drop your pick in the comments, and let's talk about who the Falcons can't afford to lose before the season starts. Here's the third big shock from ESPN's Falcons roster projection. And honestly, this one might be the riskiest move of them all. Only 8 offensive linemen on the 53-man roster. Just 8. If that number feels low, it's because it is. Most NFL teams carry 9, sometimes even 10, because when the injuries start stacking up, that offensive line can fall apart fast. And if you're working with a young quarterback, like the Falcons are, you cannot afford to gamble with protection. Let's break it down. We know the 5 starters. Jake Matthews, Matthew Bergeron, Ryan Neuzil, Chris Lindstrom, Caleb McGarry. That's your main wall. But behind them, only 3 backups. Storm Norton, your swing tackle. Kyle Hinton, can play guard. Javon Gwynn, flexible, but still developing. That's it. That's your depth. And let's be real here, this unit hasn't exactly been invincible. Matthews and McGarry have both battled injuries the last couple seasons. Neuzil is solid, but he's also still proving himself. Lindstrom is your rock, your Iron Man. Bergeron's tough, no doubt. But one injury to that front 5, just one, and now you've got a backup lineman protecting a second-year quarterback who's still learning the speed of the NFL. Think about that. If your rookie QB is already trying to adjust to NFL pressure, and now he's got less time to throw because he's got a backup in front of him, that's a recipe for sacks, fumbles, bad decisions, and injuries. You're basically handing the defense a reason to attack. And it gets worse. Rookie Jack Nelson, a 7th-round pick from Wisconsin, didn't even make the cut. That's odd. Last year, Atlanta didn't keep 7th-round pick Zion Logue either, and he ended up on Buffalo's roster. So clearly, these late-round picks can make an impact somewhere else. Here's the part that really bothers me. Atlanta only had 5 total rookies in this draft class. That's it. You'd hope all 5 could find a way to stick around, especially when you're not overcrowded at the position. This just feels like a short-sighted move. I get that the 53-man roster can change the next day, veterans can be released and brought back, some guys will be moved to injured reserve, and yeah, you can work the system. But still, 8 offensive linemen? It feels like playing with fire. And when your quarterback is still learning, your offense is still growing, and your playoff hopes are built on staying healthy. This feels like a risk that could come back to haunt them. Falcons fans, is 8 offensive linemen enough? Are you confident this O-line can hold up for 17 weeks and protect a young QB? Drop your take in the comments and rate your confidence in the offensive line from 1 to 10.